Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Thank you for welcoming a Jewish sibling into this space. This is actually my second time at church today, which is unusual
Alaikum
for me. I
salam.
usually don't go to church on Sunday, but I had the pleasure of going this morning um, to Pastor Bruce's church service in the 7th Ward of New Orleans, where I'm visiting this week. And I was there as a guest. And being in this place and hearing some of the preaching of that community here almost 20 years after Katrina, I'm reminded of some of the outrage of that time that continues in this time. At that time, it was the Iraq War and billions of dollars going towards militarism and war in other across the seas. And in this time, it is the flooding in Asheville and other 5 states around the hurricanes recently, and the $9 billion and the $20 billion and the money that continues to flow from our tax dollars to kill thousands and thousands of Palestinian innocents, children and women and men and siblings. I'm coming to you, Joshua Harris Borashek Blaine, as a song leader and an organizer for a number of movements, including for the Poor People's Campaign years ago, and Jewish Voice for Peace, and Surge, showing up for racial justice. I'm also here as a student of Shomeret Shalom, the Torah of Nonviolence, a practitioner of the Torah of Nonviolence. And I want to lift up a few of the midot, a few of the qualities that my teacher, Rabbi Len Gottlieb, has codified into this practice, this old and new way of being within a lineage of Judaism that says, Lo b'chayil, v'lo b'koach, ki im baruchi, not by strength, by military might, not by militarism and violence and power over, but only by ruach, by spirit, by breath, by presence. The midot that I'm thinking about today is ahava, because of this beautiful text from John Coltrane that we have been offered to sit with today. I actually first brought this text to my speakers, not knowing until my brother-in-law brought to my attention that there was an actual psalm that John Coltrane had written, which of course we heard. But I first came to the album, which has been a deep teacher to me for decades now. Hadn't listened to it in a long time. And I was with my brother of blood, who was my first teacher in jazz, who I will say I don't always agree with in many realms, including politically. We don't always agree. Like many stories, time immemorial, brothers who don't always agree. But I want to share with you that when we put this album on, and I told him that it was going to be a text that we were going to be studying this Sunday, I asked him, I said, brother, what do you hear? What is the teaching of this album? And he surprised me, because he is not like me, somebody who's pursued a path of spirit, a path of ritual leadership, of devotion to God, to the mystery. And he essentially, in his own words, said, I think this is an album that speaks to the unity of love and of our universal connection and presence with one another. And perhaps the words aren't coming through as profound in this moment, but the spirit of it and the felt experience of sitting, listening to a jazz album with a brother who taught me jazz, as we journeyed on very different paths and felt him with me, understanding this. Now, there are many other things that we didn't say, but the music, some of the pieces of this text of A Love Supreme, which I love the invitation from our sibling here, who said, let's sit with this every day for this Advent period. I might take you up on that. To receive the wordless of the Love Supreme, to me, was such a gift. I also want to lift up some words in Hebrew from Yirmiyahu. We read a couple verses from Jeremiah. Jeremiah is an ancestor of nonviolent resistance. These words that we heard here from chapter 33, they are spoken from jail. He had been imprisoned by the king, his own king, the king of Judah, Tzidkiyahu, because he was preaching the truth. He was saying, because of our wicked ways, because of turning away from Hashem, we are going to fall to the Babylonians. I am prophesying that you, the king of Judah, and your people and your ways are going to fall. You are going to lose. This is the prophecy because you have turned away from the ways of Hashem, from the ways of the divine. And the people in power, the king, did not like this, and so he was put in jail. So there is an inspiration that I take from Yirmiyahu that I know many of us here share, that before this campaign fails, we'll all go down to jail, 'cause everybody's got a right to live. So there's a seed here just in where he is saying these words, just in the context of these words, that brings those of us, many of whom I know are here in solidarity as people who believe that it is not enough to just offer thoughts and prayers. We're going to have calls to action at the end of this. I know many of you from being in the streets, from singing in the streets, from saying lo b'chayil v'lo b'koach, from saying justice, justice, we shall pursue, that is perhaps the most important thing below the words of Yirmiyahu here, that we must be willing to put our bodies on the line. Finally, I want to say there is some beautiful Hebrew here that as a poetic language, I even just want to say so you can hear them in this line, verse 15 from chapter 33. Bayamim hahem uva'et hahi, in those days, in this time that is coming. Atzmiach leDavid semach tzedakah. Atzmiach leDavid semach tzedakah. There is some poetry here to the sound, alliteration and assonance. Atzmiach, I will cause to sprout this semach, this sprout of justice, tzedakah. Ve'asam mishpat u'tzedakah ba'aretz. And justice and mishpat, deliberations will be made. And then it goes on to say, by Amim Hahem, again in these days to come, in this dream, this time we're dreaming of, Asher Yikra La Yad Tzidkenu. This four-letter word for God that is often translated as Lord, but Rabbi Arthur Waskow says, the Rav Rabbi of our time says, if we were to really truly try to pronounce that, it would sound something like Tzidkenu, our interbreath. It is our connection in the air that we breathe. That is our liberation. Tzidkenu, it is a collective we, our justice. That is the only way that we can actually bring into being Bayamim Hahem, these days to come, when truly we are one. May it be so.